All right, guys, we are back. It's Ron and I, as usual, and we have a NYCFC podcast host with us. His name is Andre, and his podcast is NYCFC Podcast. So, Ron, say good morning or hello.
Morning, everybody.
And Andres, welcome.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for allowing me onto your show, man. I'm really excited.
I love the peace sign. I usually throw up the peace sign at the end. Anyway,
there we go.
Anyways, everyone know Orlando City is coming off a dreadful performance in the U.S. Open Cup. As I usually say, we preview and not review, so I'm not going to harp over it. And we are looking forward to Saturday's match versus NYCFC. NYCFC is 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw in their last 5. They have 21 points. That puts them 9th in the East, so they're about 3 points behind us. Everybody knows they have who they're led by. They're led by Pirlo. Right now they're led by David Villa, and they have Pirlo and Lampard coming soon. I think Andres is going to talk about that. And a player who, when I was just doing my research, I found that Patrick Mullins has a bunch of goals and a bunch of assists for NYCFC, and I know that Derek, the guy who does Fantasy Outlook, for those of you who follow the channel, he talks about Patrick Mullins sometimes. So, with that said, we are going to jump right in, and I think today we will start with Andres. And Andres, what is just your overall feeling about the game? And then maybe you can talk a little bit about the big. I'm going to call them the big 3 because that's the American sports term, and that seems to be what you guys have. So if you could just overall feelings, and then Pirlo, Lampard, Villa, in that order, so I can work the pictures in.
Yeah, great. So my overall feelings are really mixed, and it's because we're going to be playing against you guys on Sunday with a completely different team that we first faced you in our first match of the season. We lost that match, just to say. I know we tied 1-1. I felt like a loss to us because of the way Orlando and Kaká scored the goal. And in front of you guys had, what was it, like 60,000? It was a great game.
62,000.
There you go. I was about to exaggerate and say 80K. That said, the Yankee Stadium did open up their 300 level, so they are increasing more and more seats. Typically, we only have level 1 and 2 open. When the Red Bulls came into town, we had level 4. So who knows? Maybe that might get open depending on how crazy the demand is. I have mixed feelings because, as we will preview later on or mention later on, we have a completely different team. Lampard may not play, and if he doesn't play and he plays his first game as an all-star for the MLS game, that's just going to be mind-blowing and upsetting. Pirlo has been practicing for us, and I'm not sure that he's going to start for us right away. That said, our number 1 player, our number 1 DP, the entire season has been David Villa. So I'm excited to see Kaká come into the stadium, play his heart out against David Villa, although they don't really play against one another. But I'm just mixed emotions. We came against the New England Revolution losing 1-0, and that was a game we could have won. We were also down a man for the last 30, 35 minutes, and we still had opportunities on goal. So I'm not sure what to expect from our team, to be honest. It's a wild card. I know Orlando's a tough squad. As you said, we're only 3 points away from them, but we've been 3 points away from the Philadelphia Union, from the Red Bulls, and from what was the other team? I think it was. Oh no, we beat Montreal. But every time we seem to be on the right side looking up, we end up taking a step back. So I'm just mixed emotions, man. Mixed emotions.
All right. And Ron, just generally, what are your thoughts about this game coming up?
Well, it's you have 2 inconsistent football teams, but they're expansion teams. So what do we expect? Orlando is on a real bad run of form right now. Obviously, 3 straight losses in all competitions,
and then a draw. So
yeah.
4 winless.
Yeah, and we'll be heading to New York without Christian Higuita, who's obviously a very important holding midfielder for us. And I guess also some good news for NYCFC is I assume they'll get Mix Diskerud back for Sunday.
I highly doubt that. I mean, the United States did just lose to Jamaica. They do have a third place game to play for the Gold Cup, which to me makes no sense because there are no moral victories, and we could definitely use Mix's presence for Sunday's match, but I don't think he's going to be joining us either, so that's going to be a loss on our end as well.
Yeah, well, for Orlando's sake, I hope that's true. That helps a lot. Also, other things about the matches, as I wonder, these two teams play very different styles. NYCFC is generally in a 4-4-2, and we like to spread it out in a 4-2-3-1. And I guess my biggest concern, or maybe my question is, with that small field, how that's going to affect the way we play. Just because we like to make the field wide, we like to use overlapping runs. So that will be an interesting back and forth. Obviously, New York City will be used to that, and that probably gives them some sort of home field advantage the way they know how that plays. So that'll be interesting to watch, just to see how Orlando City handles that. So there you go.
All right. Well, we usually do lineups, so I'm gonna say in our projected lineup we will. I'm gonna say we have Corey Ashe in at the left. I think Boden was really bad last night, and I kind of think Corey Ashe looked a little bit better. So I know that this is a big game. I think we're gonna play Boden. I expect to see Colin and St. Ledger again, and then always Ramos on the right. I expect to see. Obviously, Darren Sarin, as usual, as our defensive midfielder, and then the other midfield position, I guess we're gonna play.
It's gonna be Lewis. I think Lewis Neal.
You think Lewis Neal?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then Lewis Neal. I was gonna say we might have a Strasco sighting, but I didn't really think about Lewis Neal. I totally agree now that Ron says it. And then on the right, we will have Avila, who had a nice assist last night. Although usually boring, and then I hope we get Rivas left on the back on the left, and up top in the last match preview I said we're going to see Ribeiro, so I am going to stick with that. And Ron, what do you think about the lineup other than correcting me with the Lewis Neal? Do you think we'll see Rivas? Do you think we'll see Colin and St. Ledger? And who do you think we'll see up top?
I agree with everything you said, except for I still think Kyle Laren's going to start on Sunday, which... whatever, he's not in great form, but he did score last night. Also, I agree, Corey Ashe will likely be the left-back starter just because he'll be fresh. And if we don't have Carlos Rivas play, NYCFC is likely going to win. I don't see us even getting a result if Carlos Rivas is not out there. But he's so important to us. And without Carlos Rivas, we don't have a wide midfielder on the entire team, which is why we've been struggling so much lately.
And just while we're on the topic of Carlos Rivas, and obviously we missed him greatly last. Oops, sorry, I didn't switch the camera, guys. So on the topic of Carlos Rivas, we missed him greatly last night, and I saw you post on Twitter, and I feel like you looked it up after the game just because I've gotten to know you professionally over these last couple weeks. When is the last time we won without Rivas?
Well, you overestimated me because I didn't look it up. But I mean, I can't. He's played almost every game the last month and a half, but I don't. I don't remember, but it's been over a month or two probably. So it's just we just have no pace. We have no way to scare you. And while I think this is what I don't like about that small field up in NYCFC, that has a way of limiting Rivas a little bit. So I expect him to play. I think they just. It just shows you how important he is that they chose to rest him over Kaká. So that shows you how important Rivas has been lately.
I mean, did we have a choice not to rest Kaká? Who else would we have played there?
Well, anybody. You could have played Ribeiro there. I'm just saying if you really cared about winning the game, you probably would have played Rivas.
All right, and Andres, what is NYCFC's? I just catch the scoreboards, and I know that they tend to have a leaky defense. So, is the defense leaky? Is it you guys don't defend well against fast players? Are you guys susceptible on the counter? Is it just mental errors and breakdowns continuously? What's with that?
That's a really good question, and I'm glad you asked it. So, I expected that question, especially when we had a tied game against Toronto 4-4, and one might think that, we let in 4 goals. Hey, we also scored 4 goals. That said, throughout the whole season right now, we only let in 28 goals. Orlando has let in 26, so we're only 2 worse. That said, overall in the league, we're quick math. We're either fourth or fifth worst in goals allowed. The only blowouts we've had this season was one against Seattle at home where we lost 3-1, 2-0 when we went to Real Salt Lake, and I believe we were down a man in the second half. And then when the Red Bulls came and we lost 3-1. So every other game we've either won by a goal or we lost by a goal or we tied somehow. That said, I think Josh Saunders is the key in my definition of why that is, why we haven't lost that bad of a game. Although our defense is poor, it's more of Josh Saunders saving our butts each and every game. He's literally voted, or at least nominated, to be goalie of the week in every week that he plays.
Yeah, he was very good against Orlando in the first game we played.
Yeah, he was good against Orlando. He was great against New England. He saved us so many times when we were down a man. That said, if you take our back four, what I'm going to assume might be our back four on Sunday will be R.J. Allen, maybe Jason Hernandez if he's not hurt or has a red card. I think he accumulated too many yellow cards against New England. Shea Facey, and then Andoni Iraola, who we just signed from Atletico Bilbao. Now, typically, that four never appeared in the first match against Orlando. So, again, it's going to be a completely back four. But the solid two in the middle, Shea Facey and Hernandez, had been playing more cohesively, and I guess there's better communication going around. We do have Angelino, who joined with us, who's also a prospect for Manchester City. He's also from Spain. He started last game against New England, but our team is so decimated with either suspensions or injuries, I believe he may come in the second half to replace R.J. Allen. We get beat on defense. One of those players that we get beat is not one of my fan favorites, Kwame Watson-Siriboe, who probably will never play again for us at all. He also has a red card, so that's that. And also on the left wing, Chris Wingert, who gets beat quite often. So yeah, our back four are not the fastest, but with the speed now that we have with Shea Facey, hopefully we can control a majority of the attacks. I will say the biggest weakness we have are crosses. So if Orlando can continue to cross on the wings, we have a hard time, shoving those balls out of the box. So that's going to be a key there.
I mean, crosses is one of the way, in my opinion, is really a lot of how our attack goes. I mean, it goes through Kaká, but Boden or Ashe, whoever's going to be there, will have that conversation in a minute. And Ramos, I think, really do cross the ball well, and I think we do create a lot of opportunities that way. So I'm just going to go to Ron. How do you think the crosses? If he says they can't defend him. I think we're pretty good at them. What's your thoughts about?
Well, that definitely bodes well for us because in our last match against who do we just lose to? Red Bull. We crossed the ball 32 times and were unsuccessful on all 32. Now that's hard to do, but if I assume that's their style. He wants those wing backs to get around the outside and pump balls into the box. So we're going to do that against NYCFC, and if they're poor at defending them, it's probably an area we're going to try to exploit. So it just depends if we can get enough numbers in the box. A lot of times we have a striker like Kyle Aaron running up the field, and he's got two defenders on him. And we have a problem with our back post runs and our midfielders joining the attack far up the field to where we can, put a numbers problem in the box for New York City. So it just depends how we're going to cross the ball. It depends on how we make our runs to get to those crosses on whether we'll be successful or not.
Yeah, and I want to add to that, we're also really bad on set pieces. So if you get free kicks or corner kicks, we just have a really bad time heading those out of the box. And it seems the majority of our goals that we let in, or easy goals that we let in, are balls that bounce in the box, no one clears them out, and you should have cleared them out in the first place with a header, and it just doesn't happen. So that's a huge weakness in our defense.
Ron, you can touch on that if you want.
We're not really great at set pieces, so I wouldn't worry about that too much.
Victories.
It's funny. Both our teams have a lot of weaknesses, but but where our weakness is going to be defending the counterattack. We can control games with the best of them, but just like last night in the Open Cup, eventually in the end we succumb to a counterattack. So I don't know how good NYCFC is on the counter. They're probably not the fastest team in the league, but we're always vulnerable to that. So you might see NYCFC just kind of soak up our pressure and try to exploit Orlando when we commit too many men forward. That's usually the blueprint to beat Orlando, unfortunately.
Interesting.
I was gonna say that I don't think NYCFC has anybody as fast as Chicago. I mean,
no, they don't.
So and speed has been killing us. I mean, Cam dominated us twice at this point. But anyways, so who do you, Ron? I said I was gonna talk about it, and I want to bring it up now. Who do you think will start? Do you think Boden will start, or do you think Ashe will start? Because last night I hate to harp on it, but to me Boden was really bad. So what's your opinion on Boden versus Ashe for Sunday?
I like Corey Ashe on Sunday, but I don't necessarily that means he's the starter going forward. I do think they're going to kind of split time for the foreseeable future. It just depends. With Boden, you get a better crosser and you get more height when you defend. I don't think you can really go the whole season with your two outside defenders both being 5'5" and 5'6", whatever they are. So it just depends on the style of game. Corey Ashe gets up the field, and then he likes to cut inside and create stuff offensively, which is nice. It kind of gives us a different style to attack. So we'll have to see what makes this attack flow better, because he wants the outside backs to get up and cross, like I said before, and Boden is the best crosser on the team probably. So you get two very different styles, and I do expect Ashe just because he'll be fresh. I think that's a position that you have to work so hard, get up and down the field. So I expect Corey Ashe on Sunday for sure.
All right, and Andres, you said you guys have a problem defending crosses and set pieces. Is there any type of player that you find that troubles you? Like, is a fast player trouble you? Do straightforward 11s trouble you?
Everything troubles us. Seriously. Okay. To be honest, it's crosses and speed. I remember against the Chicago Fire, Akam was just burning us. When we played against the Portland Timbers at Yankee Stadium, I forgot the player on Nagby. I forgot which the player was. Just kept burning us on the wing.
That could have been Nagby.
And if you guys have one of those players in your squad, I'd say tell your
Rivas.
coach. Oh, there you go. Tell him burn their defense, because we have a hard time. Our midfielder has a hard time catching up to them, or at least containing them. And then obviously our defense on the wings is stronger than it was earlier in the season. I will give them credit for that. They are improving, but speed burns us, and especially a fast forward up top like Seattle had. They just burned our two center backs, and it just speed burns us and definitely counterattacks.
All right. So, just quick recap. We need Rivas to play good, and they have a problem defending speed. We need to cross the ball better. We need to complete better than we did versus Red Bulls 0 for 32. That's all I really got for this match preview. Ron, is there any general points that you want to talk about?
I looked up that stat from earlier. We have won one match this year that Carlos Rivas didn't play a significant part in. And that was LA Galaxy, when everything went right and everybody scored in that game.
Well, they didn't even defend Kaká. I don't know how you're going to go and do that, but expect to win. But that's just a different story in itself. And Andres, is there any general questions from your fans that we could answer for you?
Oh, yeah. I actually have quite a few questions, and let's start off with the most fun one, which is the purple unicorn, or I should say, the Orlando unicorn. What's that all about?
Well, hold on. I'm looking for the picture. I have one of him. Anyways, unicorn he's a member of the Ruckus. That's our oldest supporters group, and I know that he went to NC State. He's an avid swimmer, and I think this is it is a unicorn, and a unicorn is a majestical, curious creature. So I find Danny to be majestical and curious, and so I think the way that the unicorn started is that he had this little unicorn towel thing from when he was on the swim team when he was like a little kid, and I think as he grew up he just made it I think he's gotten a new one obviously, and he just made it his game day outfit for USL. So he's all over the billboards. I've tried to get him to come on fan TV interviews after the game, but he just hasn't come by. I've talked to him in the supporters lot. Nice guy, but yeah, that's just his costume. That's just what he likes. And I think that it originated as his swimming towel when he was little. That's all that I know. I've met him a couple times. I'm not really friends with him. I hope that helps, but I'll just stick to a majestical creed.
I think that was well said, and I love how your fan base creates a unique, I guess, mascot. And we have, one of our own. I'm not sure if you've seen him on Twitter, but NYCFC Pigeon. He literally wears a pigeon mask with the NYC jerseys on. So, I mean, what other iconic animal in New York, other than maybe a cockroach and a rat, would be a pigeon? And earlier on one of my episodes on the podcast, I interviewed NYCFC Spider-Man, and there were huge issues with him wearing a Spider-Man mask and whatnot. And obviously, that might be a trade infringement, but I love how fans just come out organically and try to make the experience more fun, not just for us, but also for kids who are watching the game and might get attached to the unicorn or to a pigeon. So it's great.
We have a Spider-Man too. He video bombed one of my fan TV videos. He was back there making like all kinds of. He was like mocking me like with a fake mic and stuff. It was really funny. I usually don't appreciate people video bombing my videos just because I work hard to edit them and make fun content. So, but that one I actually laughed and I enjoyed. So I know he watches some of these videos. So hey, Spider-Man, if you ever want to video bomb us again, that'd be cool. Or if you are in NYCFC this weekend, maybe get a picture with their fans. All right, Andres, what else? What other questions you got for us?
All right, so this one comes, and I'm sorry, the first question came from Jayla on Twitter, Jayla_NYC. This other one comes from Robert I. Hobson and says, have you seen Orlando's supporter groups growing and changing to meet its needs? Or are there still one main group?
Okay, well, there's always been two groups. So, it's never just been one group. We've always had Iron Lion Firm and Ruckus. Ruckus was here first. They started before we even had a team here. I interviewed some of those guys in Fan TV when I went to their supporters bar, and their original colors were black and red. So, they've been here since I want to say 2009, and we didn't have a USL team till 2011. And I know Iron Lion Firm has been here since the first day USL has been here. So those are our main two groups. Collaboratively at the stadium, they're called The Wall. So they do a lot of stuff together. I think Iron Lion Firm works more on the tifos, and I think the Ruckus does more of the drum line. And I know they both have their own chants, and I know that they do have collaborative chants as well. I don't think there's any kind of like supporters rift. From what I've gathered, they coexist very peacefully, but they are separate entities. So, and I know that they've grown. The guy I was talking to, the kid Derek, he's not a kid, he's a guy. He does the Fantasy Outlook show for the Fan Channel last night about some of the numbers, and I think that they've grown exponentially this year with MLS and some of there used to be a fan podcast that no longer exists. Rest in peace. And I heard him on his podcast talk about how when we were at USL, it was like a very intimate, like they knew everybody knew everybody was saying hi. And now at their tailgates, they go out there and they're like, so many people. So I know the fan groups are growing, and I know that there is a solid, very solid foundation from USL. And I think that the heartbeat of those organizations are carryovers from the USL. I don't think that the expansion to MLS has changed the fundamental values or bases of the groups. I'm not in either of the groups, so I'm not an expert, but just kind of what I've gathered, I've been trying to learn as much as I can, and I hope that answers your question. I know if you really want to know more about the Ruckus, they're very friendly and will be very happy to maybe even come on your podcast and answer questions. You will not have the same luck with ILF. They're probably 90% unmedia friendly, maybe 99% unmedia friendly. So, nice guys. They'll talk to you at the tailgate. They'll talk to me at the tailgate at least. Have a beer, but they will not come on my videos. They do not do. The Sentinel does pieces on that's our newspaper here in Orlando. They do pieces on the fan groups. They do not do that. So. But that's just their thing. That's their MO. They're supposed to be faceless supporters, and I'm all for that. I think that's really cool. And Ruckus is very media friendly and pro and all that stuff. So, anything else?
Yeah, I mean that's a great reply. I actually want to add to that because our first year in MLS, our only official supporters group is called the Third Rail, and so we have.
We know.
So yeah. So there's other smaller groups, and I'm not going to say they're supporters groups because it's just also people with the same mindset, but there's also micro groups within the Third Rail and just from outside of it. Like, for instance, right here, Brown Bag Social Club. It's not dedicated just to soccer, but it's dedicated to a mindset of friends hanging out, watching sports. They have their own supporters group called NYC12. There's also Los Tembladores, which is, Los Temblados. They're the ones who bang the drums and make the beats. And there's also, a group called the Hooligans. There's also a group, Hearts of Oak. There's so many other groups. And what you said before was pretty sweet, that somehow you all combine together to call each other the Wall. And we're having a hard time doing that right now. There are some cohesiveness within our supporters, but right now it looks like we're having a hard time understanding what we all want to do during the game.
Well, from my understanding, the team did that and said this is going to be the supporter section, and you guys can name it, you guys can do whatever you need to do. We'll let you have your drums, we'll let you have your whatever, your confetti or whatever they need, but you need to have a cohesive name. So I think the team did it. I mean, the leaders of the groups might have done it. I really tend to lean, just in my personal opinion, that the team did that, and I almost feel like they did it for some marketing purposes. So that's just my opinion on the situation. And I know that, like you said, there are factions within the groups. So, I know that, like, in Ruckus, there's, like, the Space Coast Alliance, and there's some British guys. I think they call themselves the Citizens. There's, like, the O-Town Hooligans are part of Ruckus. So, I mean, there are factions, but overall they all are at tailgate together. We have a tailgating culture here. I don't know if you guys have that or not. So, but yeah. Anyway, and all right. So you had another couple questions, I think.
Yeah, I guess the last one I want to ask is, how does Orlando see NYCFC? Because most people or most teams hate us. We're the new boys in town. We're the loudest ones. We're getting all these signees, as we mentioned before. We have David Villa, Frank Lampard, Andrea Pirlo. What is Orlando's view towards us? Do they have an affinity because we're also new, just like you guys are, into the MLS? What's your opinion on that end?
I saw Ron smirking. I'm going to let him chime in.
Well, if you're ever on Twitter, the two fan bases clearly, well, the two supporters groups, three, I guess, if you count two of ours, they do not like each other. They go back and forth all the time, which is fun to watch on the outside for sure.
It should happen. That should happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. You have to, when you were both new to the league, we have to develop some rivalries somehow. And I don't know if we've developed that rivalry on the field yet, but Sunday could move that along. But clearly, in social media or just the two fan bases have a rivalry, and I think it's fun. I look forward to this game almost more than any other match, just because it's kind of a good measuring stick of where each teams are, and we've gone about it a little bit differently than NYCFC has. So it's cool to see the different dynamics and how the clubs have grown and go in that direction. What do you think, Sam?
I 100% agree with the social media. I think our fan bases have at each other. I got in there the other night just for fun. So I spout off. I can I don't have a boss in this. This is just for fun for me. So I don't have any sponsors or anything yet. Maybe one day. So whatever. As far as you guys being our rival goes, outside of the fan stuff, just our fans, talking shit to Third Rail on Twitter. I think other than that, I don't really know that there is an on-the-field rivalry. Other than we've really only seen each other we saw each other in the Charleston Cup, and we saw each other the first game of the season. and I don't I don't see it like I'm trying to put my words.
I guess.
It's not Columbus level.
No, that's exactly what I'm trying to convey. It's.
But we've played Columbus 3 times, so you have to obviously take some time on the field to develop a rivalry.
Well, my thing is that even the first time we played Columbus, it just seemed like there was something there that was just like we don't like you, like the way you're playing and the way we're playing is just not. It's not friendly out there. It's like I described it as it gets chippy. And the first game, it wasn't chippy. It was just slow and sloppy. Both teams were just so disjointed, and nobody knew their identity at that time because it was the first game. I mean, we knew our formation and we knew our players, but our identity was lacking. And I think NYCFC's identity was equally lacking in the first game because they were just as bad as disjointed. It was just a really sloppy game. It looked like two new teams. So if a rivalry grows from this, I'm happy to have you guys as a rival. I just don't, as of right now, I don't see you guys as a rival. I just see you guys as, you came in with us, like, cool, like, we're both new, let the better team be better, let the worst team be worse. At the end of the season, the points will reflect themselves.
Yeah. No, good point. I don't, other than Twitter and social media, that can always be taken to an extra level. I don't think there's any hate between our clubs. I mean, like if you compare NYC versus the Red Bulls, that's automatic. Boom. Even against Philly, because we're such local, and maybe now against Montreal because we beat them twice. And we're actually undefeated in Canada against Canadians.
Nice.
But other than that, I don't think the overall general consensus is. Obviously, we want to beat you guys, but I don't think it's like murder or we want to win. That's it. It's nothing, no extra motive there. So yeah.
All right. Well, let's go back to the preview. Just previewing the game really quick. I just have it was just based on this conversation. I have one more point, and then we will do my favorite part in predictions. And so I want to know what you think. What does NYCFC actually have to do to beat Orlando on Saturday? What's your opinion?
Other than the obvious of scoring more than one goal, it's a really tough question because we have a lot. And I'm sorry, my dog is barking at me now.
It's okay. I just put mine in the crate.
So, in order for us to win, we need to control the majority of the game and make our chances actually count. There's been many games where we took probably 15 shots with 2 on target. Nothing goes in. We cannot depend on Villa saving the day. The games that Villa scored or had an assist, we've won. I might be lying, but I'm pretty sure we've only got about 6 wins. He's got 10 goals, and I think he's got 3 or 4 assists. So if Villa doesn't score, we usually don't win. So we need to find another way to score without Villa. Mix is not coming here. I highly doubt Frank Lampard is playing. I hope he plays. That leaves questions with Patrick Mullins. He's been one of our more scrappiest players up to date. He scored 4 goals. He actually got discounted 1 goal, which was against Toronto, where he beat Villa missed a penalty shot. He beat 3 defenders to the ball. He shot it, and it bounced off a defender's foot to go in. So he didn't get that 5th goal. He's one of our scrappier players up front. That said, he can't do it by himself as well. He needs Villa support. So in order for us to win, we need to control the ball. We need to use our shorter field. It is shorter field to our advantage. Keep high pressure against Orlando, and hopefully you guys make enough mistakes that we can capitalize on that. Otherwise, if we let you run the field, and you can still beat us on a short field, and if we let you continually cross the ball, it's going to be a really tough game for us to win.
All right. And Ron, same question. What do you think Orlando City needs to do to win?
Exactly the opposite of I mean, Andres laid it out pretty well there. I think Orlando City can win if they don't give up a goal on the counterattack. It's really that simple with this team. We're gonna own the possession edge. We're just that type of team. That's not going to change. But NYCFC won't have a problem with that. We win almost every possession battle, but it rarely reflects to the scoreboard.
Yeah, I think we won possession last night.
Yeah, I mean, we always do. That's the way we play. But teams know that, and they say, here, have the ball. You're not going to do anything with it, and then we're going to eventually catch you out when you're vulnerable. But But like Andre said, we're going to cross the ball a lot, and since NYCFC is weak in that department, we'll see how that goes. And it's tough. As long as Rivas and Kaká are together and their chemistry is good, we're going to be dangerous. And so there you have it. With us, it's about the counterattack and mental mistakes that we make. But NYCFC probably has that problem as well.
Okay. Well, we'll do predictions, and Andres, be our guest. Go first.
Well, thank you. I will predict a 2-1 win from NYCFC. 1 goal coming from Bellucci, and 1 goal coming from David Villa, and that 1 goal from coming from Kaká. So everyone's going to get a great pleasure to see Kaká and Villa score. We will win 2-1. Let's go NYCFC.
All right, Ron?
I see a 2-2 draw. I think our form's too poor. We had to play a midweek game. NYCFC didn't have any midweek games this week, right? So, once again, the indicators point in their direction that they'll be healthy. We're missing Higuita at center defensive mid, which is a big loss for us. But I think NYCFC, like Orlando, is prone to the mistake. They're generally, let's be honest, they're not the best team in the league. So I see a 2-2 draw. I see an exciting game, and it'll be for me. I think I'm a baseball fan, so it'll be cool to watch him in Orlando City, to watch him in Yankee Stadium. I think.
All right. Well, I'm projecting that. Well, I have a fun stat first. NYCFC only has 2 home wins in 10 games, so by no means is the Etihad, Yankee Stadium, a fortress. So I think, and they've let up, a bunch of goals. I think they've had 3 plus goals 5 times this season. So I think that Orlando City is going to go there and win, and I think that it is going to be 3-2 Orlando City. I think that their defense is bad. I think that we're going to miss, Higuita and whoever. I think Neil will be formidable, but I, think that they can put the points on the board, and hopefully we can too. So that's I got 3-2 Orlando City. I think it's going to be a fun game. So thanks again, Ron. I really appreciate it. I know that you got some stuff to do today, and Andres, thanks again for coming on. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
There you go. And guys, I will be out doing fan cam at Gate C for Columbus. That's in 2 weeks. So peace out.
See you guys. Thanks, Andres.
Thanks a lot.